Cyprus does say an Iranian drone hit the runway of a UK military there today. That prompted the EU to vow solid backing for member states like Cyprus as the war with Iran spreads. Here's more from the president of that Mediterranean island nation.
We are in a region of particular geopolitical instability with many challenges and problems, which is going through an unprecedented crisis. Our homeland does not participate in any way and does not intend to be part of any military operation.
France, meanwhile, says it is ready to defend Gulf countries and Jordan against Iran if necessary. An estimated 400,000 French citizens are residents are currently visiting countries in and around the Gulf. The French Foreign Minister, Jean-Noël Barrot, though, also called the current situation regrettable.
It's extremely regrettable that this situation could not be handled via international institutions. The intervention decided unilaterally by Israel and the United States would have merited debate in international institutions designed for this purpose. Each party would have been able to take responsibility because it is only by confronting each other at the Security Council that resorting to force can be viewed as legitimate.
We're going to talk more about this now with our international affairs commentator, Douglas Herbert, who joins me on the set. Doug, here we really have Europe that's in a bit of a crisis mode, but also very divided.
Yeah, well, Europe has been in crisis mode well before these strikes over any number of issues in which they're being hit from all ends as they see it, and it always boils down to the same ultimate problem. In a bloc of 27 member states, it has been very difficult to always speak in a coherent, united, harmonious voice. So Europe at this hour is scrambling right now to try to find a united voice, and you can imagine, especially because this is a foreign policy issue, there is a lot of tension between foreign policy being, if not dictated, at least formulated from the center in Brussels, from the EU capital in Brussels, versus foreign policy, as many national EU member states see it, being their prerogative of the national governments based in each of the 27 member states. What's interesting, yes, there are divisions here. Notably, look, you have, the countries like here in France. Paris wasn't even informed, according to, its own statements, in advance. It wasn't alerted in advance that this was going to happen. They weren't told about the strikes. They weren't involved in the planning of the strikes. That's according to the French presidency. Germany, on the other hand, and Poland apparently were let in on the loop in some form. It's not exactly clear. But so when it comes to Europeans, there wasn't even some cohesive or coherent attempt by Washington to put them all in the loop together. There seems to have been, I have to say seems, because we don't know clearly, some selective leaking of the plans to certain governments and not to others. That said, right now this morning you have Ursula von der Leyen, the European Commission President, trying, scrambling together with fellow European commissioners to try to get some sort of policy. And you had in the very early hours after the strikes basically a wait-and-see attitude taken by Europe. There was no really strong either one way or the other, condemnation of the strikes or not. It was only after, in the hours following those initial U.S.-Israeli strikes, when Iran started to retaliate on targets across the region and across the Persian Gulf especially, that there was a hardening of the stance and more voices being expressed, more willingness on the part of Europeans to assist in the U.S. and Israeli action. What's interesting, I said assist in. There has been a general tone of condemnation of the fact that international law, international norms have been violated. But I think it's German Chancellor Merz right now who summed up perhaps the mood a little bit in Europe. And he said, notably, he says, this is not the time to give lessons to our partners and allies. That is when, a reference to not the time to condemn the U.S. or Israel for their actions. And he said, despite all our doubts, we share many of their objectives. even if we are, and this is key, Jeannie, even if we are unable to achieve them on our own, ourselves. So this sense they're deferring to the U.S. and Israel, not trying to criticize them right now in the fury of the first strikes in the war, saying they're ready to assist, but it's really difficult right now. I will note that Spain's Prime Minister, Pedro Sanchez, is the only member of the EU so far to categorically condemn the U.S.-Israeli strikes against Iran.